I want to confront you with a quote. It's a quote of a famous Austrian psychologist. His name was Viktor Frankl. Have you heard of him?
I've heard the name, but I'm not familiar with his work.
Okay. Viktor Frankl once stated that things we truly and consciously experience will never be lost. They will be saved in our lives forever. So in this regard, I want to ask you, in terms of sport, what would you say, what is the most precious moment in a single event in sports that you can think of?
There's been a couple of moments. Never managed to go to the Olympics, which was always a big aspiration of mine. There were a lot of ups and downs in my career as a rower, but certainly one event that stood out was rowing at the Cambridge Oxford boat race, because in the rowing community, I think the next big thing to the Olympics was the boat race, and rowing is one of those sports where you just you'd never row in front of big crowds, because the rowing courses are always somewhere on the outskirts of cities where nobody ever makes it besides other rowers or maybe a bit of family. And the Oxford Cambridge boat race was really in the middle of London. You've trained like so much, you've sacrificed so much for this like one single race. There's no heats, there's no second place, there's only one race, and it feels very significant, and you have literally hundreds of thousands of people at the river, and as a rower that's very special, because as I said, you never really get the attention, so it feels very significant, and it feels very important to you and your entire crew, and I think if I had to pick one moment, that's probably the one.
And it was also unique to the fact that you were the first Austrian to actually row in the boat race.
Yeah, that was a cool part of it as well, because the race is by now almost 200 years old, so it definitely felt somewhat special to be able to represent Austria as
be part of the big story as
exactly.
well. Okay.
Exactly.
Super. I envy you for that. It must be a great moment. So great moments, but of course a sporting career also consists of the not so good moments.
Yeah.
You already mentioned that, Alex, that last year in 2016 you failed to qualify for the Olympics in Rio.
Yeah.
And now 1 year later, with time passing by, with a little bit of a distance, how would you estimate this defeat in retrospective? Was there also something in it that you can take with you in a positive way? Is there a learning?
Oh, for sure. If you know my rowing career, it's actually interesting, because I think it's like in many significant moments I actually failed. As funny as it sounds, I'm very proud of what I've done in rowing, but some of my biggest moments as an under 23 in the single at the World Championships, had a great aspirations, great potential, and then was leading a heat and fell into the water, and that was that. I failed to qualify for the Olympics in 2015. I've lost 3 boat races, so every time I raced against Oxford I've lost, actually. And so I've had a lot of defeats in my life in rowing, but I just kept going, because it wasn't, yes, I love winning, as every athlete does, but I also, a big part of that, of me, just enjoyed sports in itself, enjoyed rowing with other people, and that kind of helped me to get up again and again and again. For me, the 2015 defeat was painful, because I knew I'd set myself a certain timeline, how long I wanted to row, and I knew that 2020 was not going to be an option for me. Yes, it would have been possible. When I stopped rowing, I was 26 years old.
Okay.
I could have, some of my best years were probably still ahead of me in terms of rowing, but it was always clear for me that there are also other ambitions I have in life, and there's a big trade-off at some stage if you continue doing your sports. So for me, that was the last chance to go to the Olympics, so it was a very painful moment. But to answer your question, I certainly learned a lot from this defeat as from the previous ones, because you know, I like to think that you actually, you know, yes, it's a defeat, but you never actually lose as long as you learn something from it. And that's always the stand I took, and I think, you know, getting back up it again and again now really helps me in my everyday business as an entrepreneur, because being entrepreneur is very much a roller coaster. You know, you have great ups, you have awful downs, and like being at the very bottom, you know, literally not knowing whether you can pay next month's salaries, just helps you. It helps to have been there, to have been at the bottom, and you know, you always know, just get yourself up and there's going to be a solution for it. So to answer your question, yes, I've definitely learned something from it.
Okay.